External hard drive video, take 4. Okay, good afternoon and welcome back to my messy workbench where we have an external hard drive and we have finally a video after weeks of waiting. I haven't done one for about a month and a half I think, and that's not for lack of trying. I have actually attempted to make about 4 of them since the last one, but they've all been met with some sort of difficulty and yeah, just things haven't worked out, so I haven't managed to get anything out, which is kind of annoying, and I've been a bit disheartened by that, and sort of, yeah, I got sort of fed up, so I took a break, ended up having to go to hospital as well, actually, for something else, so that also didn't help, but I'm back, and I'm trying to make one for this hard drive. Anyway, so, I also made a previous video, the one I just made about 2 days ago, which was shot entirely in my pajamas and which looked a bit idiotic, so I'm not sure if I'm going to put that one up at all. But anyway, here we go, another video. So this one is an external hard drive. Right. So, on to the actual topic of the hard drive. Well, this here is an external hard drive. It's a Western Digital. It's a WD3200E1 M8BK-01. Which gives me the impression it's either a 200 or a 320 gig hard drive. I'm not entirely certain. It was given to me by my friend while he was doing a cleanup, and as far as I know, there's nothing interesting on it. Probably just a Windows 7 installer or something. But it doesn't work, obviously. I plugged it in, and it does spin up. The light comes on, but doesn't detect, and I'm not entirely sure why. So we're going to try and find that out. So basically this video will be just a kind of a general thing of what you should do if your external hard drive doesn't work. Or maybe what you shouldn't do. I'm not sure. We'll find out. But this will be basically some kind of thing. So first of all, obviously, there's kind of basically 3 parts to this which could go wrong. First one obviously is the cable itself. With external hard drives in general and cables like this, I mean, you can see this one's kind of bent here, so it's entirely possible that the cable's actually snapped somewhere. You know, the data pins could be snapped. I mean, it might get power, it might spin up, but the data might be, one of the data lines might be broken in the plug or something, and then it can't detect. So, you know, that kind of thing is expected. Especially for external hard drives, people, you know, stuff them in your bag, throw them around, you know, whatever, that sort of thing. So external hard drives do tend to have a pretty rough go of it. So it's not surprising that the cable might break or that sort of thing. But I have tried another cable and it doesn't really seem to make any difference. So it looks like the problem will be either the enclosure itself or the hard drive itself. So again, like I said, 3 things: either the cable. In this case it's just one cable, but you can also get ones obviously with power supplies as well, so okay, so 4 possibly for a powered one. So you've got either the data cable or the power supply or the enclosure itself or the hard drive. Basically 4 things, 3 or 4 things to go wrong. So in this case there's no external power supply, it's just straight from the USB port. One thing you do have to note, of course, is that some USB ports can't supply enough power to spin up a drive like this, so especially front ports on cases and sometimes certain laptop ports, they just don't have enough current available. These things do need quite a bit of current to spin up properly, so sometimes there's nothing wrong with the drive at all, it's just you've plugged it into a port that can't supply enough power. So always make sure you try a different port, and especially if it's one you haven't tried the drive on before. Which is also why I don't really like these self-powered drives. I tend to like the ones with their own power supply, or if you've got an SSD or a flash drive, it's better, you know, less power requirement to spin up. But anyway, so I tried another cable and it didn't really make any difference. So it looks like it's either the enclosure or the drive. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to open the thing up and pull the drive out, and we're going to put the drive directly into a computer and see if it's the drive or it's the enclosure. So basically, I'm just going to open this up and see what happens. Okay, so I've zoomed in a bit, and sorry about the lighting. Like I said, it's a rainy day and things aren't that great, and my lighting isn't that great, so yeah. Anyway, so there's a bit of shadow, but hey, you should be able to see what I'm doing anyway. So yeah, we got these 2 little sort of rubber things on the end which just pull off. and that shows, I don't know if you can see, but there's a plate sort of thing that goes in there and one that goes in there, so should be able to clip that off. It's probably just clipped in there. So if you take like a screwdriver, and yeah, I should use a spudger, but I don't really care about what it looks like because this is not really important. But if we jam something in here, we should be able to lever these end bits off and get things out. So there we go, it's fallen on the floor. Oh well, never mind. It's not really relevant. Okay, so that just pops off. It seems to be clipped with a clip on each end, so I should be able to do that with the other one, even though that's probably not strictly necessary to take both ends off, but you know. Well, that one's a lot tighter than the other one. Okay, let's see if we can get that off. That's quite tight. I wonder if see if I can just jam something in there. It doesn't seem to be glued, but you never know. Well, maybe this bit is glued. Okay, so turns out to get the front bit off after a little bit of mucking around, I found the best way was to slide a knife in from this side, and then when you get to the bit where it was sticking, there was actually some glue there, was to turn it sideways, and then that broke the glue, which was along this edge here. So interestingly enough, not much glue in it, but there was a little bit there, and that caused a problem. So then finally that was able to come off. So yeah, that reveals the hard drive sitting here, and there were these like two foam pads on the front, the two blue ones there, and there were probably ones on the back on the other bit that fell on the floor. I can't find it now. But I mean, yeah, we've got like a couple of foam or rubber or something, these sort of little white squares there you can see at the top and the black ones at the bottom. I'm not entirely certain if those are glued on or not. They might be. So I'm not sure. I think maybe if I just let's see if those. No, they seem to come free. It looks like it's just a sort of a push fit or something. So if I just push this, what do they call it? Oh yeah, that seems to come out. So if I just shove that, this just slides out. Right, so now we've got the that is a 320, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we've got that out there. So yeah, it has these little rubber bits on it, I guess, for vibration dampening and things like that. Probably some sort of shock absorption. But we've got a couple of screws. So let's take those screws out. Because this is the bit we want to know. This is the so this should just pull off like that. So you make sure you don't squash the top of the drive, like they say. Should just pull. Okay, no, it's sitting in there. Okay, so we got this little circuit board. So there's our USB to SATA converter, and that's got a little bridge chip there. That's going to do the conversion, and then we've just got basically it's just a plain SATA drive, laptop hard drive basically, as you'd normally have. So nothing too complicated. Most external hard drives are like this. They have a little some kind of little circuit board with a power supply possibly, or in this case there's no power supply because it runs directly off the 5 volts from the USB. But yeah, I mean this is all there, 2009, okay, so yeah, I mean there's basically a few points of failure for these. The plugs can get damaged, obviously, if people have the cable plugged in and then they drop it on the cable or something. Another thing that could be possible, this crystal here, because again it's an external hard drive, so it gets banged around a bit. This crystal could possibly be damaged. If this crystal was broken, you know, it's not going to oscillate, the bridge chip won't run, so you know that could be another problem. If this crystal was broken, looks like it's 25 megahertz possibly. So I mean that's another possibility. Could be, you know, broken solder joints on the SATA connector there, but they look all fine. I mean this thing does look, the board looks okay. It doesn't look like it's had any drops or anything. The plug itself looks perfectly good. Nothing seems to be broken, so I mean it's possible it's actually the hard drive itself in this case that's faulty. But hey, we'll plug this into my desktop computer and have a direct look at it and see what it does. So yeah, I mean what have we got here? I've got a jumper on this pin. I'm not sure what that's for. I'll have to look that up to find out what that is. That's the other thing, you know, you just gotta. And interestingly enough, I was trying to Google the model number of this, the WD3200E1, and nothing came up at all. I was trying to see if I could find a disassembly guide in case I was doing something incredibly wrong, but no, it couldn't find anything. But hey, I mean I figured it out anyway, so that's all good. I'm going to search up, see what that jumper does in case that's important. And then I'm just going to plug it straight into my computer and we'll see what happens. So I tried the drive directly into my desktop computer. Obviously I didn't have any footage of that because it's not particularly interesting, but it didn't work. It spun up, but it just made a whole lot of sad little clicking noises and didn't detect or anything, so clearly the drive is faulty. I found out what the issue with this jumper is, not issue, but I found out what this jumper is for. It's for the what they call power reduced spin up. So obviously it maybe takes longer to spin up but doesn't use as much power, which is quite clever because you know, for an external thing with a USB port you're not going to want to draw too much power at once, so that's quite a clever idea. But yeah, it's got nothing to do with why it doesn't work. It just, obviously the heads are bad, or you know, there's a problem with the controller or something. But yeah, so this hard drive is dead. So there's nothing on it that I care about, so I'm not going to bother trying to recover it or anything. That's irrelevant, doesn't matter. But yeah, obviously at this point, if you did have data on something like this you cared about, well, you probably shouldn't be pulling it apart to start with in case you caused extra damage. But if you did have the drive out like this and you know it doesn't spin up, it just clicks or whatever is wrong with it, you know, send it to a data recovery specialist, someone you can actually trust. And of course it'll be expensive, but hey, if you've got stuff on there you need, well, you kind of have to do that. So what I'm going to do at this point, so the enclosure thing itself is probably fine. What I'm going to do is put another drive in there. So I've got this one, which is a 250 gig drive. It's very similar to this one, but obviously a bit older and a bit slower and a bit smaller. But I'm going to replace this with this one and give it a try. So, I mean, well, I'll give it a try, but this drive has got some stuff on it I want to get off, and you know, it'll actually be quite easy to put it in this enclosure, and then I can use it quite easily, and then after that I can use it as an external hard drive. So yeah, win-win all around, I guess, really, kind of, except for this thing because it's dead, but it doesn't matter anyway. So I'm going to steal the jumper off this one, and I have checked to make sure that the jumper does do the same thing on both these models, because they're not the same model of drive. But yes, the jumper position here, that's that bit there on the left, right next to the data connector. The other one I think is for reducing it to SATA 1 speed if you don't have a SATA 2 controller, but the other one is for reduced power spin up, so that'll be useful. So I'll put that on there, and obviously you want to take off these little sort of little rubber bumper pad things. Oh, it's taken the whole sticker off. These are quite good glue, aren't they? Come on. Okay, so we want to put that on the new drive because I don't want to have it banging around inside the case there. That wouldn't be too fun. I mean, they've put these on for a reason, obviously. They're not just for a laugh. They are there for a purpose. So it's a good idea to put that sort of thing, so there's nothing else. No, okay, so that drive can just go over there, and we can put this all back together. So let's see. So that just slots in here, like that. And this goes into this little, well, shieldy thing, like so. And we've got, make sure the port is lined up and all in there good. Okay, so that's all good there. Maybe I shouldn't have taken the camera angle out just yet, but oh well, too bad. You get the idea anyway, I'm sure. It's fairly obvious, you know, if you've just disassembled something, it's pretty easy to see how it goes back together. So now we got a couple of screws, and that just goes there, and then this goes, which way around does this go? Okay, so we've got the drive light thing on there, so that's for the light there, so obviously that goes that way, and the LED has been bent a little bit. Whoops. Let's just bend that back into place. Okay, so, and that should just slot straight back in there. Just make sure you get it all. Anyway, I don't know. These little rubber things, hopefully they don't fall off and fly around, but everything seems okay, so yep. Right, so let's put the covers back on. So this one goes over the bit there, and this one goes over this bit. And you can see the scratch marks where I tried to get it off. Anyway, so there we go. I can put these back on. I'm not sure. Some sort of minor attempt at some sort of vibration dampening. I mean, shock resistance, I guess, is what they've tried to go for here with these little rubber things. I don't think it probably would really do much. Okay, so that's cool. That's all back together, and now I just got to plug it in, and hopefully this drive isn't faulty as well, which would be pretty funny. It's been sitting around for a bit, so hopefully it hasn't died while I've been trying to do that. Now I got to try and plug this in, so Just realised I have nowhere to plug it into. I don't have a USB cord. A USB cable that's I got a longer one here. I don't know if this will fit. Let me see if I can fit. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I'm gonna just have to walk over to the computer and plug it in, aren't I? Oh well, that's not a problem. Anyway, and then I'll just change to the thing so you can see the drive in the file explorer. So yeah, okay. So obviously the drive is working fine. We got the thing 250 gig drive here. Shows up. I can check all the data there. I can check the smart data. It's seems to be fine. So everything's pretty good. It's all working. The yeah, I mean I can browse the files. Obviously I'm going to blur this out so you can't actually see what they are. But there you go. All seems to be working. So that's a good result there. So I've got a little 250 gig external hard drive now that I can use once I copy all that data off and put it onto my actual backup server and all that sort of stuff and make everything make sense. Well, that all seemed to go pretty well. I've got my old 250 gig drive in an external enclosure, which seemed to be fine. Seems to be just this drive that was bad. I've put a little X on the thing so you don't get confused. It's always a good idea to, you know, put a mark or something on broken hardware. You know, sometimes you have these things lying around for spare parts or something or whatever, and then if you don't make it obvious that the thing's actually faulty, you'll end up inevitably trying to reuse it and wondering why things don't work. So always a good idea to do that if you're going to leave it running around. If not, well, send it off to the e-waste or something, or sell it on eBay for spare parts. I mean, people can probably use the PCB for data recovery if they need to get a new board for the same model drive. It's yeah, who knows, maybe you can make some money off it. I don't know. And anyway, that's that. So the external enclosure works. I've got a new drive in it, and I've finally managed to make a video after a month and a half that actually turned out to be working. So that's pretty nice too. Yeah, but anyway, so that's that. I'll edit this and upload it as quickly as possible, and hopefully that'll be an interesting thing to look at. So hopefully that was enjoyable. Hopefully you learned something about how to muck around with external hard drives. I certainly learnt something new. I learnt that some of these drives have a jumper for low power spin up. It's quite useful. When I think about it, it's entirely logical for something like that, but didn't know that before, but I do now. So that's cool. Yeah, anyway, so that's about it. So I'll see you next time.